being used, and a recent search turned up 15 such ads or 15 such organisations looking for non-smokers. Is that illegal? Well, we're about to find out. Melodi James is a Senior Employment Relations Advisor with Employsure. Welcome to the program, Melodi.
Thanks for having me.
Are people allowed to say non-smokers only?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Look, at the moment, smoking isn't protected under the Human Rights Act in New Zealand. So, that means that employers can advertise for non-smokers to fill vacancies that they might have. And look, some people might think that's unfair or unreasonable, but as it stands right now, it's not unlawful.
Could people say non-fat, non-obese people apply?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. Look, the Human Rights Act provides some specific protections, making it unlawful to discriminate for particular things or protected attributes. At the moment, physical characteristics aren't protected under the Human Rights Act, so it's kind of a different kettle of fish when you're looking at
even
like
Melodi,
obesity.
even some that may arguably make you a less healthy individual, say obesity.
Yeah. And I think, again, what I typically advise my clients is look at the inherent requirements of the role. What we want to make sure of to protect ourselves against a claim for discrimination is that we're looking at what's actually required to perform that role. Something like a physical characteristic like obesity or something like smoking may not actually have anything to do with what you're required to do in your job at work. Typically speaking, your protections under the Human Rights Act are for things like racial discrimination, for disabilities. In some jurisdictions overseas, people with disabilities or obesity has been found to be a disability, but in New Zealand as it stands at the moment, it's not the case.
So basically you can get away with saying anything other than race or disability, those things that we all sort of know about, you can say, I want a non-smoking, skinny person to apply for this job, and you can't get in trouble for that.
Look, when it comes to smoking, I think the introduction of the Health and Safety at Work Act in New Zealand has really shifted the focus for employers on making sure they've got a healthy and safe workplace. And being a drug and alcohol-free workplace is pretty common. And I think more and more so we're seeing that employers are implementing those smoke-free policies. Even if you're not, say, advertising for a non-smoker, lots of our clients are doing pre-employment health checks to make sure that they're meeting their duty of care and having, I guess, a benchmark as to the health of that person. But again, we always want to go back to the inherent requirements of the job, what's actually required for that job, so we can avoid a discrimination claim.
What kind of companies were these organisations, and were any of them state companies?
Yeah, so, from my understanding, the jobs that have come up that are specifically looking for non-smokers are private sector employers. We did see that it tends to be people, in the trades, so electricians, plumbers, construction workers, but also we're seeing it more and more commonly with people that are in early childhood education and other community services. And that's
okay. So Melodi, sorry to interrupt, but just something there. I can maybe see why in early childhood education they would say that they don't want a smoker because they want to set a good example for the kids. They don't want some staff member who's been out smoking and then smelling of smoke around the children. But how is smoking going to materially impact on your ability to be an electrician, a construction worker, or any of those kinds of trades? How can you argue that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And look, employers might be doing it to stop those ongoing, smoko breaks. I think there's been some studies that show that, smoking breaks take up a lot of work time. So that might be the reason why employers are pushing for non-smokers. And particularly with the upcoming potential changes to the Employment Relations Act and the reinstatement of statutory meal and rest breaks, we might see more employers saying, well, we don't want to hire a smoker because we're going to have to give particular breaks under law, whereas they don't have to do that now. So, yeah, I think, that might be a way that employers are trying to get back some control.